Welcome to Muddy River News This Week, furnished by Harvey's. I'm Bob Goff. My guest today, Sarah Reuschel, with the Quincy Catholic Elementary School Foundation. Did I get that right?
You did.
Yeah, a little bit of a mouthful.
Well, just a little bit.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Things are getting started. School's underway. How are things in the system?
Oh, they're great. We are so excited to be back in school, back to normal school, if you will. But it's been a great start to the year. We've seen an increase in enrollment. We're up 7% over last year, and it's our first increase in quite a few years. So we're pretty excited to see some new faces around our buildings and welcome our old familiar faces back, if you will.
And it's great because that also feeds into Notre Dame, and that keeps those numbers up. And that's always been one thing that I know everybody who's involved in Catholic education in Quincy, you always tout that you can start as low as pre-K and go all the way through college with a Catholic education.
Yeah, and now that QU has added postgraduate degrees, you could go from 3 years old all the way up for as long as you want to go to school, really.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
We're going to talk to Dr. McGee next week, and I know QU had a big enrollment jump too.
They did, yeah, and Q&D also saw a huge enrollment increase this year. So it's an exciting year for Catholic education in Quincy.
And do you think that some of this is a little bit of the bounce back from kind of being cooped up for the last few years?
I do. I've talked to a couple of our new families who have come into the system. A couple of them happen to be Catholic, and they before just didn't want Catholic education and have decided, as they've sent their kids elsewhere, that really is meaningful to them. And then there's been other families who their kids sort of fell behind during COVID and felt they really needed a little more individualized attention, smaller classrooms, and so they have migrated into our Catholic schools to try to see if we can meet those needs a little better.
And you're also sort of beginning the baby steps into another little bit of a change, and that's the reorganization of the parochial school system. And you're in a little bit of a holding pattern right now.
Yes, we are. At our last leadership team meeting, and the leadership team is composed of stakeholders from all of our parishes and schools, and this was in June, we approved and voted to move forward with the reorganization, if you will. But basically what that means is that we will form one singular system. We will have one board that governs all 4 of our elementary schools, and we will operate as one. The next step in that process is for the bishop. We were talking about the governor's office right before
Bishop Paprocki's not gotten that promotion yet.
Not yet.
Or that might be a demotion. I don't know.
I don't know.
Flip a coin.
But the bishop's office then is the one that will work with their legal counsel to draft the bylaws, which will then set up the structure for what our system will look like. And so they are in the process of working on that now. And then once we get that document, it will inform then our next steps, how to form the board that will govern this system, and then we'll move on from there.
In the preliminary discussions, and I know you had several stakeholder meetings, and the one thing we talked to Father Leo about it, and is very forthright to just come out and say, look, this is very transparent. If you have any questions or concerns, please let us know. And I guess people have done that. Oh, yeah. What's been the biggest thing that people have the concern, I guess, that most of the families have had?
I think one of the questions I've heard a lot has been dealing with this board. What does this board look like? What is the role going to be in the board? How does that board then impact the operations at the schools? And while we on the team have a general idea of what we've seen in other systems or other schools, it still will really depend on how the bishop and his office create these bylaws. The other question we've gotten a lot is why? Why are we looking to reorganize? Why do we think now's the time rather than waiting a few years? And to that point, I would say we are trying to be very proactive. We see trends being what they are. Until this year, we'd been on kind of a downward slope of enrollment. And we also see that some of our schools have certain offerings that other schools don't because the financial situation looks different. And so one of the beautiful things about the Catholic faith is we are a universal faith. All across the world, we are all one, we are all in this together. And so our approach is really just to embody that Catholicism, the notion of unity and universality, and look at how we can improve and take what we're doing well in one school or 2 schools and make sure that that's happening across all 4 schools. So it really is, I believe, a true benefit to all 4 schools and to all of our kids to be able to work together, to be able to provide more resources, and just to continue down this path of working together and alignment, which is something that's been happening in various stages for many, many years.
And also in this process, you have to have the game plan all laid out, but at some point you're also going to have to make decisions on physical locations. That'll be something else that everybody will want input on. And when you're looking at that, I guess it's just a matter of just space and practicality and efficiency when it comes down to that?
Yeah, there were discussions, and these even predate when I've joined the foundation, of locations and buildings, and certainly some of our buildings are older than others. But I think the team has really taken a step back from that at this point to really look at the financial health and focus on that, and to look at, again, those services that we're offering at each of the schools to start to level set a little bit. So I anticipate that the building discussion will happen in the future, but I don't feel like right now it's on the short list. What we have now is able to accommodate where we are with enrollment. I do know, though, 2 of our schools had to add a second or a third classroom for certain grade levels because of growth. And so it might be that enrollment pushes us into that discussion faster than anything else. So time will tell on that one. Certainly, like I said, preliminary discussions happened at one point in time, but at this point we're really more focused on getting the governance set up and starting to really work together.
And back when Quincy did the slim down from the 7 parishes to the 4 parishes, that was being involved in being a member of a local parish as well. That was very trying and traumatic for some people. This isn't that, though, and I think that's what you want to really tell people. Look, this isn't some sort of downsize. This isn't some sort of cut. We are looking to see so we can continue to grow and prosper as a Catholic education system, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And a lot of what happened, was it 05-ish?
A long time.
Yeah,
yeah, I think
again,
so.
predates me by quite a bit. A lot of that was a little bit of a top-down. It was.
And that's from the diocese.
We were told, that we really needed to do some things. Whereas this project and what we're looking at now is really the culmination of all of these key stakeholders being at the table and saying, what can we do to make this better? How can we work together in a more formalized capacity so that we have the resources we need and we have the right players at the table? So we are not reacting to crisis at this point. We are really being proactive to discuss ways that we can improve and enhance what's already going really, really well. So I think that's kind of the key difference there is. Yeah.
In your position, do you talk to a lot of your colleagues within the diocese and sort of bounce on ideas and talk about these sorts of things too?
Yeah, what's interesting, I just was able to attend my first development directors meeting for the diocese. And as I sat around the table of other elementary development individuals, I would say about 90% of them were principals. And so I say that because I think Quincy is very uniquely positioned. The fact that many years ago, our schools came together and said, right, we need a foundation that can help us fundraise and support tuition assistance. Quincy Notre Dame having the enormous foundation that they do that's able to do so much for them. We're a bit of an anomaly. And so to your question, sometimes it's hard to be able to pull ideas from others because we are ahead of what many others are doing. And specifically with the conversation about alignment and reorganization, we actually were one of the first to start having this conversation, and now there are other communities who are starting to discuss this and bring the people to the table. So we feel a little bit like we're at the forefront of this change in our diocese. Certainly nationwide, there have been many other communities who have successfully done what we're trying to do. Many that I've talked to who have said, I wish we would have done this 15, 20 years ago. So, with that in mind, it sort of gives us a little boost of like, okay, this is good, this can work if we do it right, and it will position us to have high quality Catholic education for many years to come.
Because in your job, that is the everything else, all the other things about the reorganization, all this, that's all great. But the bottom line is it's down to the fundraising.
It is, yeah. We are privately funded, and so it really does really mean, like, we really need the community's support.
Sure.
We need parishioner support. We need parent support. And so, yeah, if we're able to bring all those things together, then we're going to be a success.
And then you, like I say, you have your conversations with the principals and the priests at all the local parishes, and sort of, hey, how can we work together to pool our resources? Which again is really what we're getting into with the whole reorganization effort. So for your office to be in this position, I mean, you're obviously the one to work with these people the best suited to get this done.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. You know, I've only been here just shy of a year in this position. And so when I first came to the table, I was coming just solely with the perspective of being a parent. And so it was very eye-opening to see how amazing, like, the principals that we have, the pastors that we have, the parishes that we have that support these schools and just the Catholic faith in general. But now to get to see it from the other side. And my goodness, we have incredible people who are at the table who have just this clear vision of where we can go and what we can do. So it's been very refreshing to be able to be on both sides and still to sit at the table and have the perspective of the foundation and how we can financially support, but also have the perspective of the parent and being excited about the opportunities that lie ahead.
Well, Sarah, thank you for your time, and please keep us posted on the reorganization and anything else going on in the Quincy Catholic Schools.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for now. I'm Bob Goff. Have a great week.